Thoughts affect your perception of things that happen. Also, perceiving something affects it on a fundamental level. Things can influence your thought patterns, which will have a reverb kind of feedback within your perception and will allow you to view things differently. Things you identify with become a part of your personality. So, if you find something that works, as far as traveling throughout the reality of the universe experiencing itself, virtually all parameters that define where you can't go exist within your head or your life that you've created in order to sustain whatever it is. Space and the solar system exist, but that's not all that reality is. Infinity exists here, whether we want to believe it or not, whether we can interact with it or not, whether or not we want to accept the fact that it works in the math that describes the way that those things function, but it's all around you. Infinity is not the farthest spot away from here to the farthest spot away from there. It's every tiny little piece of your visual field, every waveform that collapses when air molecules hit each other like pool balls coming from a speaker and then vibrate your eardrum thousands of times a second in order for you to hear sound. You know, somehow it works. So reality is more like a fabric that is intertwined with space and energy, but it goes much, much farther than that, to the point where you'll start noticing changes in your life based on the way you think. So you have to look at reality as like an infinite amount of places that exist here on Earth, but the situations and the circumstances are based on where you are, your inner self, as you travel through.
Speeding up every day. Oh. That's a word for that. DNA. Information. No, maybe next time.
Some things that are worth lots in one frame of reference are absolutely meaningless from a different perspective. It's like looking at a work of art. The laws of physics exist to show us that there is universality among different dimensions, which is why things like sacred geometry are so important. When you understand how things that don't function under the laws of this universe work, you can take those machinations throughout the entirety of hyperspace. You know what I'm saying? Circles, hyperbolic geometry, non-Euclidean functionality that's not just ambiguous or chaos. The laws of nature tend to point things towards discernible patterns. A ray is such a fundamental thing, but where do you see a ray? Well, light kind of vibrates like a wave does, and there's background energy that influences it, which is why colors exist. Light is most people's example of a ray, but what I like to use is gravity, orbit. If something falls, it begins from a resting place and goes straight towards the center of gravity of whatever it's falling towards, in a way that is similar to a ray. Of course, that could be more like a line segment. Geometry is important because two-dimensional shapes broadcast functionalities of certain things that exist within life. You know, the Mobius strip is so interesting because in order to complete a circuit around its perimeter, you have to complete two circuits around its perimeter. That's what happens when a two-dimensional shape becomes three-dimensional, because its surface becomes important. Gravity is actually the manipulation of the fabric of space-time. So if an object falling is a line segment, the path upon which it travels is kind of more like linear. Its trajectory is an interaction with something that has shape rather than it being a shape. And if this applies to light, then it's almost like there are predetermined paths that are built by fundamental laws that determine where and when it's going to be there. So, if the brain is responsible for our bond with awareness that understands reality, then maybe the fact that our thoughts influence our brains will take the things that we choose to put in them, music, nutrients, drugs, and we will discover something equally unique and appreciable as reality, but that it's not made of energy. If you truly believe what I said, and that infinity is everywhere, therefore realms of magic and all sorts of gods and deities should exist with equal magnitude to what we experience every day, the brain has to be influenced towards witnessing those things, whether or not they play out in energy reality or not. I mean, sand does not interact with gold, but they both exist. You know, you can melt gold and turn it into wires. You can turn sand into glass and put the wires in the glass and create a nice circuit. But if lightning were to hit sand and there was some gold, it would definitely fuse them. You know what I'm saying? It would definitely melt, the sand would melt into glass all around the gold, and even if the gold melted, it wouldn't molecularly bond with the sand, but they would fuse on a physical level. You understand what I'm saying? So just because one thing that exists over here does not interact on that level as things that are happening with energy and mass bound to constants, they're still witnessable and should be taken as seriously as those things for any reason at all other than death. The loss of the physical body is inevitable. Not that you need a reason to entertain multidimensional travel. So whatever level you want to be into this, we're talking about pattern recognition. We're talking about influencing things that happen in reality with your mind. And we're talking about brain health. Because neuroplasticity is creating muscle memory, which is allowing you to think certain things more easily, depending on what you routinely do to your brain and how you choose to influence your thoughts. Basically, all you need to do to test this is pick a color, go into a dark room, close your eyes, think about the color, and then devote 5 minutes to it. Within a week, you're going to see that color everywhere. And people get all mystical about the law of attraction. But even without that, it's a fundamental proof that the things that we think about become a part of our subconscious focus. So, awareness being readily available to those with brains is the framework for the platform that I'm using to say infinity exists within this lifetime, and your mind is a way to experience different realms that exist while you might be seeing life every day without crazy sacred geometrical hallucinations or the influence of any kind of substance that will alter your mind in such a real way that it's impossible to deny that your mind is being altered. No matter how slowly that you notice a certain change, there is going to be a point where you do notice it, but that can happen over such a long period of time compared to a DMT trip, which will just blow away your entire preconceived notion of anything within a matter of minutes. So there's things that alter your mind subtly, like diet and exercise, and there's things that alter your mind very, very much. And so when you combine these two styles into neuroplasticity and brain development after you're already an adult, you're basically just trying to keep firing the patterns that you like that are working for you by finding tasks that will accomplish that or however you do it. Or you're going to try to focus and form new pathways to create new behavior, and then you'll have pattern recognition going throughout this, which pattern recognition is just one of the results of using thoughts to influence your mind